The Cleveland Cavaliers have a big decision to make. This one is going to be about Isaac Okoro, their former 5th overall pick, and a guy talked about recently in one of our videos as being a sign-and trade option. Well, a recent report has that changing. Hey everybody, Billy BB back with you on Cavs Digest, and when you want all the news going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers and a lot going on in the NBA landscape, you're going to want to subscribe here. Cavs Digest has the best updates. We've had a ton of updates recently with the Cavaliers bringing a lot of guys back, a lot of trade rumors, a lot of signing rumors, a lot of crazy offseason stuff. Despite the Cavs having signed no free agents yet, we've given you all the options, drama behind Team USA, extensions, coaching changes, everything on Cavs Digest, so be sure you subscribe. We've got a ton of new videos up right now. Recently talked about Tristan Thompson not coming back, Gorshan Yabusele being an option for the Cavs, but today we are talking about Isaac Okoro, who we made a video not too long ago saying, hey, it looks like Isaac Okoro is a sign-and-trade option for the Cavaliers. Bobby Marks of ESPN had made a note that it just looked like the Cavs were going to have to sign and trade him, that the fact that they hadn't gotten an extension done, a qualifying offer out to him, that it looked like they were going to have to move on, that it was going to be a sign and trade for Cam Johnson, Miles Bridges, or Dorian Finney-Smith. Well, a lot's changed. First, Miles Bridges is locked up with the Charlotte Hornets, so he's gone there, and interestingly enough, for Okoro, it's to the point now where teams have signed guys, teams have traded, teams have made moves, and a $12.5 million or more sign-and-trade situation may be all they can afford, and I'm not even sure they're sold on that, and that's what brings us to, and these are Okoro stats, which we'll get to in just a second, but the report we're talking about, Greg Schwartz of Bleacher Report, no other team can afford Okoro more than the $12.8 million mid-level extension and not go over that tax apron. We know the tax apron, which is a new placement by the NBA this past season, has a lot of teams doing crazy things. If it has the Clippers not bringing Paul George back and the Warriors not bringing Klay Thompson back, surely it's not that crazy to think that teams aren't going to want to invest in Isaac Okoro. Now, I also like this little statement from Schwartz because it defines Okoro well. It talks about Okoro truthfully. This is a 7th man in a rotation serving as a defensive specialist. That looks to be what he is. The question is, can the Cavaliers risk overpaying him? That is kind of the big one. That's the big question with Okoro. Here's his stats from last season. Little better from 3, had some moments in the playoffs. And again, that dog on defense, and that's what he is, still only 23 years old. However, once again, and I talked about this in his last sign-and-trade video, unplayable by the end of the playoffs. Couldn't hit a shot, and the Cavs are getting beat so badly on defense anyway that it's really not making the difference to have him locking up Derek White. You know, you have to have that open 3 in the corner, and he just wasn't doing it. In my head, for me personally, this is the type of guy I just have to say it's a regular season guy. Filling minutes for you, helps you win 4 or 5 games, makes the difference against teams where they're aggravated to play the Cavaliers because of how good of a defender Okoro is. However, when it's crunch time, when it's the Orlando Magic, the Boston Celtics, the New York Knicks, Okoro can't hit a shot, and they figured him out on defense. And now you're to the point where you have to say, all right, we paid Mobley, Allen, Garland, and Mitchell. When we're making a list of the next guys we're paying, is Isaac Okoro on there, and it just doesn't look like he's an option, and he's one of those guys. Now, the problem is, I don't think they can do a sign and trade. There's no other options there, and the Cavs don't want to let him walk. This is a first rounder that they've invested a lot of time in, that has developed in certain areas, definitely defense for sure, and to his credit, better at three-pointers. No doubt about it, better at three-pointers. But, again, you're a playoff team, so every decision you're making is, can they help in the playoffs? Will they make a difference in the playoffs? And for Okoro, it seems the Cavaliers don't think so. It seems like they've seen enough. However, I will say, got a brand new coach in there. So, you at least want to let Atkinson get a look at him. Let Kenny Atkinson tell you, in his system, in his kind of scope of the team, how does Isaac Okoro fit, right? That's important. So Kenny Atkinson should be able to say Isaac Okoro, as that report said, is a seventh man, a defensive specialist, not somebody who's going to make a difference against the New York Knicks in the playoffs. That's important. You have to have that from your brand new head coach. The other one's the other guys. Does Donovan Mitchell, a guy who's been in Western Conference Finals, been in huge series, Jared Allen has been in playoff series, one playoff series, and really what those guys took away from last year in the two playoff series they played, did they feel like Isaac Okoro was making a difference? Did they feel like Isaac Okoro, when he started, was relied upon, fit in well, they had confidence in him? These are questions they're going to have to answer. These are questions I'm going to ask you guys. Drop down in the comments. Is Isaac Okoro a guy the Cavaliers need to have to make a playoff run? Is he a guy that any team should have? Or do the Cavaliers need to give him a fresh contract, identify that he's 23 and still improving, and get him back out on the floor? Drop down in the comments. What do you think about Isaac Okoro's fit with the Cleveland Cavaliers? Is it time just to cut your losses, let him go, give those minutes to Strus, to Dean Wade, to Amani Bates, to Luke Travers, who's rumored for the Cavaliers to maybe get some time? Let us know. Drop down to the comments. Let me know what you think. One more thing before we wrap up here on Cavs Digest. The Cavaliers releasing their schedule today. Chris Fedor putting the important stuff. I appreciate Chris Fedor for that. I definitely would say give him a follow on Twitter for a lot of Cavs news. Opening on the road. Hate that. Drives me nuts. It's the worst. Can't stand it. It seems like they do it so often. It drives me crazy, but is what it is there. Home opener. JB Bickerstaff and the Detroit Pistons. Look, I'm already getting amped up for it. JB Bickerstaff and the Detroit Pistons. A lot of fun there. You're facing your former coach. And then also, the Pistons have sucked lately, so you're hoping that's a good way to kind of getting things going. A grueling March, not what you want to see, as again, that's what kind of set up the Cavs to be a 4 seed, almost dropped to a 5th or 6th. 16 national TV appearances. Love it. They deserve that. 16 back-to-backs. Again, that goes with the March thing. It's a grueling schedule. 4 holiday games, a brutal West Coast trip. Happens every year. No big deal there. And LeBron on Halloween Eve. Seems like a tough schedule, but hey, when you're a top 8 NBA team, that's the way it goes. So the Cavs have this big decision to make with Donovan Mitchell, as we talked about, but you'll hear all about it here on Cavs Digest, so make sure you tune in. And again, drop down in the comments. What do you think about Okoro's fit with the Cavs, his contract situation, and more? Be sure to subscribe here on Cavs Digest.